Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to History 131. This is our first week and our first lecture. I know that classes just started on Thursday, and you do have an assignment due tomorrow, Friday, by the end of the day. That's 11:59 p.m. So just make sure that you've looked through all of this. Just real quick, I wanted to let you know that again, this in Blackboard is the Welcome to History 131. And it's got all these great pieces of information in here. This is a video just going through some of the elements of Blackboard, including our site here and the syllabus. And the syllabus, you're going to want to make sure that you look at the print copy because I tweaked some things after I made that video. So everything, including due dates, grade distribution, all that stuff is fully updated in the document here. This reading breakdown is also going to be extremely helpful to you. If we take a peek at it here, it's got every week what you're supposed to read in the textbook, when study guides are available, when assignments are due, the big stuff, papers, tests, all of that. So that is on there and good to go for you. All right. So hopefully you guys are familiar with this now, and hopefully you can take some time to introduce yourself on the discussion board here. And then if we head over to assignments, we've got all of our weeks here. And if you open up week 1, which is where we are now, you've got all of your outline for today, the notes that I'm about to give you, and the reading assignment, and the other readings that we're doing for today, and then your discussion board for week 1. So by now I expect that everyone has completed their enrollment verification quiz as well. That's right over here. Please make sure that you've done that by the end of week 1. I hope you've checked out everything here in the Welcome to History 131, and I really hope you've reviewed the syllabus. It's going to help you a whole lot. And just refer to that often for due dates and everything. The lecture outlines, like here's the first one for today, they will help you quite a bit, I hope. All of the exam materials will come from the keywords on these outlines. So you will also find help on your paper assignments and discussion boards from both the keywords and the discussion questions if you fill them out. So discussion boards occur on most weeks. Like I said, we've got one for this week down here at the bottom. I expect you to have it finished by 11:59 p.m. on Friday of each week that we have one. That is when they are due. They will be late after that. You will not be able to post after that. So these are the substitutes for our in-class discussions, and they count as your participation grade. Excuse me, I'm a little bit under the weather, so I sound a little froggy, and I apologize. But remember that participation in this class is 20% of your grade. So completing these discussion boards and responding to your peers, right? The comments on other folks' posts, also important part of this grade. These discussion boards and your conversations with other students in this class via the discussion boards, that is vital to your success in this class. And another important key to success in this course is communication. You must communicate with me if you are struggling with any material illness or if you have a family emergency. If I don't know what's going on, it just looks like you don't care about the class, because there are folks who, don't show up or don't turn things in, and, that's just what they're doing, and that's, that's them and that's their business. But if you are really struggling and you're trying to do well in this class and you're just not turning stuff in and I don't know what's going on, it just looks like you don't care about the class, right? I'm not psychic and I'm not going to know unless you tell me. So I'm always around via email. I check my email at least once a day, if not more. And I'm always happy to answer questions. If it's something where you need to meet in person, we could arrange that as well. A phone call, even if it's, a really big problem that you don't think an email or like anything like that's going to work. You need something like a phone call or an in-person meeting, that's fine. Email me, we'll set it up, we'll make it work. So by now, hopefully you're familiar with the Blackboard site, and you'll be going in here to get the lecture video that I am currently making for you. So why don't we start and that way we can go ahead and get in here and get things going. We're going to learn some cool stuff. I'm going to tell you some cool stories this semester. So here we go. Lecture 1, Separate Worlds Collide. We're going to talk about civilizations in North America. So in all of the universe, the only thing that is certain is what has already occurred, right? Only the past can be known. The future is entirely dark, even if scientists have come to think of certain events as so likely to occur that we call them laws. To our discipline of history is given the critical task of trying to understand not just when and how, but why events occurred. History is a balance between patterns and contingency, between what can be predicted and what is totally unpredictable. These are the two great realities of human experience, and historians must take both seriously. Today I want to emphasize the importance of contingency in history. Contingency means uncertainty or unpredictability. To be a historian, you must constantly be surprised by the past. Nothing is inevitable. We fall into the error of thinking that because the past happened a certain way, it had to happen that way. American history certainly disproves this fallacy. For example, take European contact with North America. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Here's your outline for today, right? These are on Blackboard each week, so just make sure that you're filling them out. They're really going to help you, okay? Here's an Armada. Sorry, it's a little fuzzy. As your textbook correctly points out, history classes have often ignored native civilizations and skipped right to European contact. This erases the fact that a vast array of peoples had their own cultures, wars, traditions, languages, and world before Europeans even knew North America existed. The attempts made to invalidate native history have been used to validate United States history, with the colonizers changing the narrative to make themselves the indigenous. In fact, historians no longer use the word discovery to describe the European exploration, conquest, and colonization of the hemisphere already home to millions of people. Today we are going to unlearn preconceived ideas of where early American history starts by talking about the fascinating culture and histories of native peoples that existed independent of European influence. The residents of the Americas were no more a single group than Europeans or Africans. They spoke hundreds of different languages and lived in numerous kinds of societies. Most descended from bands of hunters and fishermen who crossed the Bering Strait via a land bridge at various times between 15,000 and 60,000 years ago. Others may have arrived by sea from Asia or Pacific lands. The bridge melted during the last ice age about 14,000 years ago, which separated the Western Hemisphere from Asia. History in North and South America did not begin with the coming of Europeans. The New World was in fact an Old World to those who already lived there. Before the changes accompanied by contact with Europeans occurred, the Americas had experienced several changes in climate and culture. The early inhabitants and their descendants spread all the way down to the tip of South America perhaps 11,000 years ago. As the climate changed and became warmer, they faced a food crisis. The immense animals they had hunted, including woolly mammoths and giant bison, became extinct. About 9,000 years ago, at the same time that agriculture was being developed in the Near East, it also emerged in modern-day Mexico and the Andes, and then spread to other parts of the Americas. Agriculture made settled civilizations possible. Throughout the hemisphere, corn, squash, and beans formed the basis of agriculture. The absence of livestock, including horses, pigs, and cows, limited farming by preventing the plowing of fields and the application of natural fertilizer. Between 10,000 and 2,500 years ago, different regional cultures formed in the Americas. Just as different sections of North America have different dialects, cultural practices, and diets, regional diversity came about in the Americas as peoples learned how to best exploit and survive in particular environments. Now this is Tenochtitlan. Pre-Columbian civilizations developed in what is now referred to as Mesoamerica. Note that that is a term on your essay, and I'm about to explain to you what it is. Mesoamerica is the area stretching from present-day central Mexico southward through Honduras and Nicaragua. These places were hardly an empty wilderness when Europeans arrived. They contained cities, roads, irrigation systems, extensive trade networks, and large structures such as pyramid temples whose beauty still inspires wonder. With a population of close to 250,000, Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztec Empire in what is now Mexico, was one of the world's largest cities. According to one of the first Europeans to encounter it, the great temple and central market made the city seem, quote, like an enchanted vision. The most powerful, wealthy, and technologically advanced society of the area, Tenochtitlan's trade goods included gold, silver, exotic feathers, jewels, cocoa, and millions of pounds of corn, both traded and received as tribute from the civilizations subjugated by the powerful Aztecs. By the time Europeans arrived, a wide variety of native peoples lived within the present borders of the United States. Native civilizations in North America had not developed the scale, grandeur, or centralized organizations of the Aztec and Inca societies to their south. North American Indians lacked the technologies Europeans had mastered, such as metal tools and machines, gunpowder, and the scientific knowledge necessary for long-distance navigation. No society north of Mexico had achieved literacy, although some made maps on bark and animal hides. They also lacked wheeled vehicles, since they had no domestic animals, such as the aforementioned horses, to pull carts and carriages. Their, quote, backwardness became a central justification for European conquest. But, over time, Indian societies had perfected techniques of farming, hunting, and fishing, developed structures of political power and religious belief, and engaged in far-reaching networks of trade and communication. In the American Southwest lived the Mogollon and Hohokam peoples, two cultures that flourished in New Mexico and Arizona. They became the most successful full-time farmers of the region because they were able to settle near streams and use the water for irrigation systems. Other groups also used water to successfully farm in desert areas. In the arid northeastern area of present-day Arizona, the Hopi and Zuni and their ancestors engaged in settled village life for over 3,000 years. During the peak of the region's culture between 900 and 1200 CE, CE is Common Era, these peoples built great planned towns and with large multiple family dwellings in local canyons, constructed dams and canals to gather and distribute water, and conducted trade with groups as far away as central Mexico and the Mississippi River Valley. The largest of their structures, Pueblo Bonito, pictured here, in Chaco Canyon, New Mexico, was about 5 stories high and had over 600 rooms. Not until the 1880s, was a dwelling of comparable size constructed in the United States. These communities declined, likely due to drought, and survivors relocated to the south and east, where they established villages and perfected the techniques of desert farming, complete with irrigation systems to provide water for crops of corn, beans, and cotton. Spanish explorers refer to these people as Pueblo Indians because they lived in small dwellings, or pueblos, when the Spanish encountered them. All right, that's part 1. These are going to be about 15 minutes long each. You can take breaks and pause and stop and all that. So I'll see you in part 2 in just a minute.